looks like I'm on part 9. There we go. Let's see what we got over here. This guy likes the captain, and he says he's a man of the sea. He still needs more practice. This looks like a shop. I'm not sure when I get any of the other members. Oh. They both just say, "It's so hot." Alright. This person says, "Wow, you suck. Come back when you've gotten better." I think it's that card game. Let's see. Ooh, free money. Looks like... This guy feels sick, and he doesn't want me to spin the screw elevator. Sadly, I must. Wah wah. I got a whip. How fancy. This guy says, "Whoa, a customer." Oh wow, looks like there's some new stuff. That's cool. I'll wait until that's necessary though. Actually, I'll just get it done now. I think I have a lot of money. Ether value 50. like that's it. Check out what those items even are, because I think enemies were dropping them and I haven't really looked at them yet. Armor, response, electric, ether machine strength. I'll keep that, put it on Ellie. Keep the ground, the beam things as well. Well, come again. I probably will once, well, not once, but if I find my other members. They'll be here someday. Let's see. Now there's like a bunch of items like hidden all around this place. So I'm just being kind of thorough. Oh, I see. That makes sense. Received D circuits. Oh, okay. There we go. I was like, am I trapped forever? Surely that would be some terrible design. Those stairs? Probably not. Okay. Looks like I'm gonna jump around here. Or not. Anything over there? Nope. Oh, those pipes are above my head, I guess. to see. Well, that's annoying. There we go. Oh, he doesn't sell like normal stuff. It's just gear stuff. Let's see. Where the hell am I? Oh, geez. Oh, he's not in the right spot for that. There we go. This guy thinks he can blow away all the bad guys with this gun. He must be Republican. This guy says, until recently, I've wanted to be a seaman and navigate the Thames, but looking at that treasure and stuff being moved around, well, it made me want to become a master crane operator. Well, what do you think I should do? I don't know. Cool that he's thinking about his prospects, though. A lot of kids don't really do that in any realistic sense. These are cool. This gun is cool. I think I remember how to play this. I'm not worried about it. Why can I not move? Looks like that's over.
Huh, that's it?
Oh wow, it spoke. Well, looks like I got some free stuff by cheating a little kid out of accessories. A wheel. Where the hell's the elevator? Really? Is there a particular reason I can't move? Jesus. Oh my. Hey man, I've got a good cure for drinking too much, says this child. That's scary. Men are stupid. I agree. Most of the time they pretty much are. That's fine. Do it. He says don't regret it. what those do. Evade up. Hit up. Such boringness. Alright, looks like... I think I need to go to the bridge. Hans is the first mate. He says, "Let me introduce myself." I'm gonna guess this is the captain. Captain says, "You're the two winos who floated in with the gears." Faye says, "I don't really like wandering around." The captain laughs and says, "Don't take it so badly. For us, anything we pull out of the sea is treasure. And you're a really big important treasure. We were really careful." Ellie says, "Thanks for helping." Captain says, "What a pretty lady. Don't make that face." "I won't bite. I'll return your gears squeaky clean." Ellie says, "Why are you being so kind?" Captain says, "That's because I am a man of the sea." And then he laughs. I actually quite enjoy the captain. He's very kind. He says, "You're probably hungry. Let's feed you." He summons Hans and says he's welcomed the guests. You take care of the rest. Hans says, "Yes, sir. Don't overdo it." Captain says, "Of course I know that. How can you be so calm?" Hans says, "The captain and everyone are so irresponsible." Captain says, Yeah. "Let me go and get things ready," says the captain. That guy's awesome. Faye says, "What? Who's that?" Ellie says, "They don't look like such bad people." Nah, they look like quite awesome people, actually. Let's see. Oh, there's Mr. Cap. Actually, I think I'm gonna try and do the other card game with that one lady, because she was like, "You're not good enough yet." And I don't know how many people I need to beat before I'm quote, end quote, good enough. I think it was... pretty sure it was supply entrance. Maybe it was the deck. Yeah, I already did that place. Alright, she's standing on some boxes or whatever. Hey, you look good. Let's play. She says, "You're gonna be sorry." Damn, I started off at a pretty disadvantageous state. Wow. Seriously? She's just faster than me no matter what. man, I'm just plumb fucked. Jesus Christ. This is about the unluckiest match ever. I don't think there's anything I can do. Oh yeah, because that's their last card. I was fucked. He's so sad.
It's not over yet.
Wow, that's annoying. What the fuck? I know I saved, but of course, sometimes it just doesn't work for zero reason. What the fuck? Come on, man. This is pissing me off. Okay, now it wants to work. Jesus. Really? not much I can do. God, I hate this person. Really? Yeah, nothing I can do about that. Wow. Oh my god. that count as a draw? That fucking sucks. Yeah, nothing I can do about that, I guess. Looks like that bitch is done. That took way too long. I get Death Blower. What does that do? That seems mega useful, actually. Captain says, took a while, but things aren't ready yet. Hey, hurry it up. Don't make our guests wait. Captain says, there's no place to sit around here. Sorry about that. But isn't the view just splendid? This beer hall is Thames' pride. You probably think it's a wee bit peculiar having a beer hall next to the bridge, but it's fine by me. If you don't take time in life to enjoy a drink, you'll be swallowed by the waves of anxiety. But we don't have that problem thanks to this beer hall. Everyone here is too sloshed to worry. Faye says, are you always wandering the seas like this? Captain says, well, normally. There is that crane that fished you out. We use that or gears to pull up treasure from the sea. We're salvagers. Recently, however, there's been almost no treasure, just little things. Since we've started the big job, well, that's all we've had. Ellie says, big job? Captain says it's a job for Ethos. They're planning a really big salvage. I don't know the details, but it looks like we'll be searching for some buried treasure. Faye says, why is Ethos involved? Captain says, who knows, but we're dependent on them to buy our stuff. So it won't look good if we turn the job down. Captain says, food's ready, time to eat. Yeah, everything is just sideways today. I think her name's Calvenia. She says we have solar. That's not it, this type. It matches with the Ava pirate ship, Yggdrasil. They have some pretty sophisticated sensors for all the melee combat that happens. Dominia says, Yggdrasil, wasn't she sunk in a different battle? She says there's no record of it sinking. We were too busy fighting that red gear to confirm it. Dominia says there's a chance it didn't sink. I believe the data shows that Yggdrasil was the carrier for that gear. One moment. Yes, that's correct. Dominia says, excellent, give me the controls. She says, excellent, what are you planning on doing? Dominia says, sink it. She will never trouble the commander again. Calvenia says, wait, the commander's orders were to investigate the disappearance of the flying battleship. We can't deviate from our mission. Besides, we're low on fuel and need to refuel. Dominia says, we have enough, I'll take her down. She groans and says, once you start, there's no stopping you, is there? I hope you know that fighting in water is totally different than fighting on land. Dominia says, of course. Sorry, Calvena. Calvina? I was calling her Calvenia. Close enough, I guess. But we'll say Calvena. Ellie says, I know you haven't eaten for a while, but how can you eat so much? Yeah, if you were starving, your stomach would shrink. You'd be full after like 3 or 4 bites. Captain says, this is great, and is laughing. He's like, I like how you eat. You weren't drifting around for nothing. Men have courage and appetites. Then he laughs. He's just adorable. Ellie says, did we just shake? Faye says, you're just imagining it. Ellie says, I don't think so. Maybe the captain is why I have crushes on otters. Who knows? This guy says, Captain, your first mate is calling you. Captain says, got it, I'm on the way. Captain says, look like something up. Sorry, but I have to return to the bridge. But please, enjoy yourselves. Dude, this is my kind of town. Faye says, Ellie, is that a water spout? Ellie says, it's too far. Can't see very well, but it looks like a battle. Faye says, let's go to the bridge too. Ellie says, okie dokie. Artichoke. Holy hell. I like that the towns actually serve a purpose in this game. So many RPGs don't even bother to, like, talk about the towns. The captain says, they've got guts starting a fight next to the Thames. It gets my blood boiling. He says, Hans, I haven't fired the big gun in a while. How about we take a shot or two? Hans says, are you kidding? Why get the Thames involved in a fight between sides who are neither enemies or allies? And that big gun is nothing but a useless piece of junk you tacked onto the Thames in a drunken stupor. I like him a lot. Captain says, you just don't understand the code of the men of the sea. Faye says, what you doing? Captain says, it looks like there's a submarine under attack. Faye says, submarine? Lo and behold, the Yggdrasil too. Faye says, hey, that's... I think another reason I really like this game is because it throws you into its universe. It's not trying to, like, explain all the scientific stuff that doesn't exist in real life. It just exists, like, and that's fine. I really dislike that other games will be like, oh, here's a bunch of pseudoscience. It's like, chill out. Nobody wants to memorize, like, all that weird phonon stuff from Tales of the Abyss, you know? Faye recognizes the ship. Ellie says, what's wrong? Faye says, that's the Yggdrasil. Ellie says, isn't that Bart's ship? Faye says, yeah, he's still alive. All right. We can't just sit here. Let's go. Ellie says, go where? Faye says, to help. What else? Ellie says, without a gear? Faye says, Captain says, hold your horses. Captain says, Doc, this is the bridge. How are our guests' gears? The repairs will be done shortly. Captain says, 2 minutes. Huh? Finish in 2 minutes. Then take them out through the supply entrance to the deck. Yes, sir. Captain says, your gears are moved onto the deck. Go get them. If you need to, you can buy equipment at the supply entrance. Hans says, what are you saying? What if we get bombed while we're caught up in the middle of a fight? Captain says, be quiet. Our guests are fighting to save their friends. Don't get in the way. If we don't help, it'll tarnish the men of the sea's good name. Hans is like, yes, sir, but the Thames itself will not join in any fights. Faye says, thanks, that's more than enough. So do I go to the deck? Oof. My allergies are still ruining me. So my brain isn't as sharp as it normally is. Yowza. I think I'm getting like a sinus infection. It's really gross. Ugh. It's like a once-a-year occurrence for me. Since I have a deviated septum and asthma, I'm pretty susceptible to that. Oof. Alright, let's get our gas. Faye says, okay, let's go. Ellie says, wait. Rico says, come on, Satan. Just when I thought we were saved, now we're going to be turned into Swiss cheese. Satan says, we're not particularly liked here, are we? Faye, Ellie, you're alright. Ellie says, somehow. Rico says, no time for tearful reunions. Faye says, yeah, where's Bart? Satan says he's fighting below. He says he's going to hold them back until the depth charges are ready. But he left without the proper hydro preps. We are busy trying to ready the depth charges. Your gears should be able to handle underwater warfare to some extent, so go help him out. Faye says, got it. Ellie, let's go. They jump in the water. Bart says, damn it, I can barely maneuver, and you're moving all over. Makes sense. I mean, these things definitely would not be able to, like, do much damage underwater. Faye says, looks like you're having a tough fight, Bart. Bart says, Faye, you're alive? Faye says, hey, that's my line. Ellie says, what about that gear? It runs right to Ellie. Dominia says, Ellie, what are you doing here? Ellie says, Dominia, why are you here? Dominia says, we, Gebler, need no special reasons to sink an enemy ship. It's our divine duty to rule those crass land-dwelling lambs. Ellie says, but why? How are they different from us shepherds, the able? Dominia says, to me, lambs and Abel are the same. The only difference is personal ability. The ignorant must be led by the wise. That's our job. Look what you've gained as an element, Ellie. Why do you even question? Your superiority is obvious. Ellie says, so the wise harming the weak is a sign of ability. I didn't want that. That's all. Faye says, Ellie, you alright? Dominia says, that gear, you're the one. Ah, so that's how it is. How amusing, Ellie. All this for a man? I guess that story was true after all. You were born of those lowly lambs. Ellie says, stop, don't say another word. Dominia says, what are you going to do about it, mongrel? Are you going to use the power you used in that incident on me now? Go ahead, show me your true power. Ellie says, I will. If you Gebler are wise, then I'd rather be a fool. Dominia says, so be it, then you shall be dealt with as the traitor you are. Dominia says, come on, Ellie, show me your power. Let's boost it up, I guess. I'm being attacked with water. Dang, it's pretty powerful. Damn. Sigurd says, young master, depth charges will be dropped. Stand back. Was that it? I think my ether is so powerful and just like fucked him up in 2 shots. Dominia says that was nothing. Come on. Calvina says, enough already, retreat. Dominia says, I was so close. But don't think I'll be leaving empty-handed. And she snatches Ellie. Ellie says, what? Ellie! Citan says, Faye, where's Ellie? Faye says, the enemy took her. Bart says, I doubt that. Faye says, Bart, what do you mean? Citan says, stop it, Faye. This is no time for bickering. For now, we must find a place to finish repairing the Yggdrasil. Faye says, don't worry, the ship that saved us is nearby. They call it the Thames. It's about the size of a small city. Their captain can help us. Rico says, that's the Thames. Bart says, sorry about what I said earlier. Faye says, it's alright. I was at fault too. I haven't seen you in a while. We shouldn't be fighting. Bart says, sigh. The Yggdrasil 2 was constructed so quickly, we had no time to ready its depth charges. Also, it's my fault we didn't have them because I prioritized the Bart missiles over everything else. Faye says, Bart missiles? Bart says, oh, they're not that great anyway. Faye says, anyway, I'm glad you're okay. I always knew you'd be alive. Bart says, of course. I'm Bart the Immortal. What are you trying to say? But this time I got reamed by a red gear monster. Faye says, red gear? Bart says, yeah, he beat me and left us to sink in the sand. But this next part sounds wild. We sank into this huge cave under the sand, and then a sand cruiser just like the Yggdrasil was there. We replaced the usable parts in the bridge and remodeled it. Citan says, frankly, I don't believe it myself. It looks the same, but it can float. Most likely it's the Yggdrasil's prototype. Bart said, people lived there long ago, and they had many weapons. That's how we got them. Seitan says, Bart already showed me those weapons are most likely from Shivat. Faye says, Shivat? You mean the aerial... Bart says, more importantly, we should say ahoy to the captain. Faye says, yeah. Bart says, I didn't want to get her involved. Faye says, you mean Margie? Sorry, I know I promised that if anything happened, I'd protect her and the people of Nissan. Bart says, you're worried about that? It's okay. You've had it tough too. I made it okay. That's my job. When the Yggdrasil's fixed, I'm going on straight ahead. Bart says, of course I know Nissan's in danger, but since everything's messed up there, I thought now would be a good time to sneak in. I didn't plan on taking her along, as long as I knew she was safe. Seitan says, I certainly doubt Shakan will stand by and do nothing. Bart says, that's what the people of her sect said as well. But it's still risky, so they say they want me to stay close to her and protect her. Faye says, really? And you're okay with that? Bart says, yeah. Captain says, I see you brought another strapping young lad. Bart says, I'm Bart. Thanks for letting me dock ship here. Captain laughs. He says, that's great. You come to ask about the ship? Bart says, my submarine, Yggdrasil, was damaged by an enemy attack. It'll be out of operation for a little while. Margie says, Bart, you're terrible. You went on without me. Bart says, aw, Margie, just when I'm starting to sound like a captain. Margie says, I get away from Nissan, but then I'm stuck on the Yggdrasil. I'm sick of it. Captain, hi, I'm Marguerite. Bart says, aw man, look, we're having a man-to-man talk here. So Margie, why don't you go back to the Yggdrasil? Margie says, you're terrible. You're starting to sound like Sig. Bart says, what? Me like Sig? Margie says, you're always so thoughtless, Bart. Faye and the others were floating around because you fired on that craft impulsively. Bart says, whoa, stupid, you're not supposed to. Faye says, Bart, you didn't. No, you didn't. Seitan says, it's true. Bart says, couldn't be helped. How could I have known you were there? Faye says, I'm so disgusted I don't have anything to say. Bart says, don't get so mad. He says, I shouldn't have brought you out of Nissan. Margie says, I heard that, you big jerk. The captain laughs and says, it's great to be young. Hey kiddo, you're supposed to be some kind of pirate? Bart says, yeah, a man of the sea. I used to be a man of the desert. Captain says, alright, even better. Man of the sea. Bart, right? I'll show you our famous beer hall. Captain says, my lady, may I borrow the fellow? Margie says, what a weird guy. Margie says, Faye, are you mad about Bart? Faye says, no, that's not it. Margie says, about Ellie then? Faye says, yeah. Margie says, it'll all be okay. If you're so worried, why don't you go rescue her? Margie says, just like Bart helped me out. Dominius slaps Ellie and says, cease your naive utterances. Ellie says, I've said nothing wrong. Dominius says, I have no intention of discussing this matter further with you. Your traitorous actions are already apparent. I will beat you down right here. Someone says, stop it at once. It appears to be Miang. She asks Ellie, are you okay? Dominius says, Miang, what are you doing? She's a traitor. Miang says, such acts will not be allowed on a ship under Ramses' command, no matter the reason. I've examined the records of the battle between the Heisho and Verge. From what I can tell, it was you who attacked first, wasn't it? She had no choice but to defend herself after you took it upon yourself to attack without permission. Above all, you were meant to be under Calvina's command. Were you obeying Calvina's orders? Dominia stays silent. Miang says, you are not to prosecute any soldier for treason without proper authority, even if you both are elements. Further, isn't your attitude toward the lieutenant nothing more than your own personal prejudice, or am I mistaken? Dominia says, what? I would never. Miang says, thus far we still cannot determine whether or not she is guilty of treason. To investigate the truth of this matter further, I'm placing the lieutenant under my supervision. Is that clear? Dominia says, how dare you? By what authority? Miang says, let's go, after using some voodoo magic or something. Dominia says, what was that? Those eyes. Miang says, I see, so that's what was going on. Miang says, since I have other matters to attend to, would you mind staying here for a while? Ellie says, not at all. Miang says, don't worry about a thing, leave the rest to me. What you need is to recover from your fatigue. Miang says, crystalline blue like the surface of a lake. Ellie says, excuse me? Miang says, your eyes, they're beautiful. Ellie says, what? I swear, this game says what and ... like every other text box. Miang says, here is the engagement report between Haisho and the enemy gear. Ramses says, this is the... Miang says, I'm sure of it. It's currently at Thames, if not somewhere in the ocean nearby. Ramses says, change course, head for Thames. Miang says, wait, their mothership seems to be able to submerge. If they submerge, they'll have the upper hand on Haisho. Any attack we might make would just be wasted since they could simply dive. But if we eliminate that function first, it's still not too late. I've already made the proper arrangements. Ramses says, arrangements? Miang says, yes, sir. Ramses says, all right, we'll try it your way. Miang says, thank you, Commander. Ramses says, by the way, what happened between you and Dominia? She was livid. Miang says, I'm sorry, it had to do with that Yggdrasil incident earlier. Those girls work hard, especially for you. It's my job to be hated. Sigurd says, Faye, the young master hasn't come back yet. What's he up to? Would it be too much for you to call him for me? Faye says, no prob. He's probably whining and dining with the captain. AKA getting smashed. Looks like Bart's telling some tall tales. He says they came out, one after another. Slam, bam, crash. That's how it happened. Faye says, Bart, Sigurd is asking about you. The captain's laughing. Of course, if you're not strong, you can't be a man of the sea. Bart says, yeah, check this arm out. Captain says, proof of the men of the sea. And then they both laugh. Someone says, Captain, your first mate is calling you. Captain says, he's interrupting our Men of the Sea story. That Hans, such an unrefined chap. What does he want now? The person says, Our Lady seems to have returned. Faye says, Our Lady? Oh, you mean Ellie. The captain says, Fool, why didn't you tell me earlier? Well, Faye says, let's go. Faye says, where's Ellie? Hans says, she's seeing to the gear. She'll be along any time now. Bart says, you mean she was able to escape? Captain says, well, it's good for you, right, Faye? Faye says, yeah. Faye says, Ellie, are you okay? Ellie says, yes. Ellie says, what's that submarine? Faye says, you mean the Yggdrasil? It took a bad bashing, so now it's here at the Thames for repairs. Ellie says, I see. Can I rest for a while? I'm exhausted. Faye says, that's a good idea. Bart says, Faye, it's my ship. Captain says, oi, oi, she said she's tired, let her rest. Ellie says, well, I'm going. Bart says, I don't like this. Faye says, Bart, you're still... Bart says, it's not like that. She won't backstab us. I was raised around thugs and charlatans. I can tell just by looking in her eyes. Faye says, then you accept Ellie? Bart says, that's why I can't. She may be okay with it. But what about her family back home? Do you think she can live with that? Can she do that? Just get rid of her family? She has to decide. She, rather Ellie, is probably worrying about that. We can't involve people who have attachments. Faye says, Bart. Bart says, do whatever you want. Alrighty. Whoops. Yeah, I wanted to go to the dock, actually. The hell did I just do? Where's this piece? Oh shit. Big Joe says, Hombre, you disturbing our amore time? Wow, we've got Spanish and Italian in there. I say yes. Big Joe says, you need some manners, muchacho. Alright. Let's try this way. And that's over. Yay!
Huh, that's it?
Big Joe says, I lose. Here's your present. Adios. Alrighty. Where do I go? What's up, Myrtle? Eh? The dog's barking at Ellie. Hey, miss. I heard you got caught. Are you okay? Easy, Myrtle. It's just the Solarian girl. You don't need to bark. Ellie says it's an animal, so it can't help it. By the way, the first mate wants to see you. Oh, I see. Sorry. I think Ellie is, like, hypnotized by Miang and is gonna sabotage this thing. Faye says, Ellie! Ellie says Faye and collapses. Bart says, I knew it all along. This Ma's a mole. Bart says, damn it, what did she do? What am I gonna do? Faye says, Doc, what is this? Satan says, don't worry about her. Stopping this is our priority. Satan says, there, how is this? Citan says she was given strong hypnosis. He says it makes a person behave in a pre-programmed way. A special condition serves as a switch, but until then, no strange behavior can be detected. She looked strange when coming out of the medical room, so I followed her. Bart says, Citan, if you thought it was suspicious, you could have stopped her. Citan says, if you stop the behavior while imprinting, occasionally it destroys the mind, but it is true that I reacted a little late. The guy comes back and says, what's going on? Young master, have you done it again? Citan says, it may take a bit to fix it. And then he says, anyhow, we will take her to the medical room. Faye, go to the room when you are done. No need to worry. The hypnotist must have been a good one. There are no mental scars. Ellie says, how did I get here? Faye says, Ellie. Sigurd says, young master, the radar has picked up a huge gear. It's headed right for us. Bart says, what? Them again? Sigurd says, that shape looks like... Bart says, alright, I owe so much to the Thames, I can't let it turn into a battlefield. Launch the Yggdrasil, will go out in our gears. Sigurd says, yes, sir. Bart says, Faye, Citan, I'm counting on you. Citan says, Ellie should rest here. Ellie says, wait, because I came here, this all happened. This is my responsibility, so let me go too. Faye says, Ellie? Bart says, what are you talking about? Don't you remember what you just did? Citan says, young one. And then says, Ellie, our trust in you depends on this battle. For your honor, you should fight. Bart says, Citan. Citan says, young one, trust Ellie. If you try anything suspicious, I will shoot you. Is that clear? Ellie says, yes. Citan says, is that okay with you, young one? Bart says, yes. And then they all decide to go. Dominia says, if you hadn't been around, I'll never forgive you. You. She screams, traitor. Bart says, here they come. Ellie says, hey, that's... she doesn't have enough magic for that. And with that, we have subverted the Minia. Bart says, whew, she doesn't know when to quit. Ellie goes, what? Faye says, below. Bart says, is that what I think it is? Maybe it's High Show. Ramses says, Miang, is that him? Miang says, yes, he's in the black gear in the center. Ramses says, right, I've got him. Ramses says, I've been looking for you, my rival. Faye says, you again. Ramses says, I see you have a different machine. What happened to your other gear? Faye says, what are you talking about? Ramses says, not to matter, at any rate. Until I eliminate you, there will never be any light for me. Looks like it makes more sense to attack. Fuck. Wow, that thing fucked me up good. Jesus Christ. Alright, Ramses says, is that all you have to give? Well, too bad. No matter what, I can't let you live. Armor breach, water flooding cockpit, pilot's vital signs decreasing. Ramses says, and now for the coup de grace. Ellie yells, Faye! And shoots out her air rods. Ramses says, air rods? What the heck? Ramses says, my tank, I almost had him. Damn it, we have to retreat, Miang. Ellie says, Faye. The doctor says, Faye's on life support. Citan says, you mean he'll be alright? Doctor says, I guarantee nothing. I don't know why he's like this in the first place. Ellie says, is this my fault? The doctor says, there's hope at the infirmary at the Ethos headquarters. Ellie says, can you save Faye? Doctor says, I can't guarantee it, but if we take him to the Ethos hospital... Ellie says, then we could save him? Doctor says, I think if we do that, he'll pull through alright. But unfortunately, ordinary citizens are only allowed into the main hall. You'd have to become a monk or be introduced by someone. The doctor says, I heard that the E-Tone, a toner of sin, are coming to Thames from the Ethos headquarters. Citan says, what purpose do such E-Tones from the Ethos have here? Doctor says, they're coming here to do some investigation. Bart says, E-Tone, what are they? Doctor says, religious people from Ethos who cleanse the reapers or wells that appear here in Aquavie. Ellie says, why don't we ask them? Doctor says, I'll ask if they can help us, but I don't know if they will. There's no harm in asking, though. Ellie says, alright, let's go look for them. Citan says, I will go with Faye and the life support machines to the Yggdrasil. Bart and Ellie, you two go look for the E-Tone. Bart says, right. E-Tone, I saw him earlier, but he left. Margie says, really? Where'd they go? The person says they don't know. Bart says, what are you doing, Margie? Margie says, hi, Bart. I heard from Citan, and I'm also looking for that E-Tone. This person's seen that E-Tone before. Bart says, really? Someone says, quit resisting. Ellie says, Bart, look. If you wouldn't resist, I could sell you for more. Ellie says, what are you doing? That person says, what the? Who are you? Instead of the brat, why don't I sell you off? Bart says, you want some? Come get some, you losers. They say, you think you're all that. What? What the? And there is Jesse. He is a former element from Solaris as well. You? What are you doing? Wait, this guy's... Oh no, Josiah. Darn, I'll remember this. Bart says, what do you think you're doing? Josiah says, don't move. Margie says, wait. Josiah says, shut up, dog of Solaris. Citan says, wait. A carbine rifle and that gun technique, you must be Josiah. No, Josiah, you are misunderstanding. You always rush into things. She was only helping the girl. Josiah says, what? Butt kissing talker. Is that you, Hyuga? Josiah says, yeah, I know, Primera. My misunderstanding. Josiah says, sorry, young lady. Please stand up. Looks like you were just trying to help. That's what she says. Sorry about the misunderstanding. This is Primera, my daughter. You can call me Jesse. It's enough that the little brats call me Josiah. It appears Primera is mute. Jesse says, Primera says thank you. Something happened to her, and she hasn't spoken since then. Citan says, is this the girl that brought about your shotgun wedding? Jesse says, that's a rude thing to ask. Look how old she is. Primera's my second child. That other kid is already 16. Citan says, please excuse me. How's your wife? Jesse says, she's dead. I wasn't even there for her when she died. Citan says, I see. What are you doing here? Jesse says, I have to go shopping sometime. Besides, my son has some unsavory business in this area. This person says, the E-tone that you're looking for just arrived. Bart says, what? Where? The doctor says, is this the reason why? So we need your help. E-tone says, I see. Jesse says, quit beating around the bush and help. He says, father and Prim too? Jesse says, this is my son, Billy. Billy says, where have you been until now? Things are pretty serious at headquarters. Jesse says, what do you mean serious? What's wrong with going out shopping with my daughter? Billy says, I don't know the details, but you've been labeled as an undesirable element. What did you do this time? Fight? Gamble? Go after someone's wife? Jesse says, that's just a rumor. Don't believe it. Ever since you went into the ethos, you've become such a stiff. Jesse continues, this lady prevented Primera from getting kidnapped. Why don't you just help out? Ellie says, can we get an introduction to ethos? Billy says, yes. Excuse my rudeness. I didn't know you saved my sister. Let me contact the medical department at my headquarters. I have other matters I must attend to, considering I am not only a priest, but also an E-tone. So I can't make any promises. Ellie says, you'll introduce us? Billy says, yes. Let's stop by their headquarters. Margie says, a priest and an E-tone. Isn't that unusual? The ethos is obviously very different from my Nissan sect. Billy says, your Nissan sect? Are you from Nissan? My god. Margie says, yes, I'm Marguerite. Nice to meet you, father. Billy says, the pleasure is mine. I've never had a proper chance to speak to others about their religions. Can we talk later? Margie says, sure. But I can't take that much time. I'm a little busy. Billy says, thanks. Marguerite, where have I heard that name before? Bart says, forget it, relax. I came here to talk to the ethos. Let's get moving. Billy says, what an impolite fellow. You should learn how to speak a little more politely. Bart says, why, you... Billy says, well, everyone, I'll go tell the ethos headquarters that you're coming. When you've taken care of business, come by the ethos. Bart says, I know, let's go. Jesse says, Billy, I have some business to take care of. If you're going back to headquarters, can you take Primera back to the brat house for me? Billy says, alright, let's go, Prim. Jesse says, alright, I gotta get going. Later. I know I'll be seeing you around. Citan says, who knows? Jesse says, whatever. Citan says, he never changes. Sigurd said he would be done with the Yggdrasil soon. Bart says, really? Alright, this time we can really leave. Ellie says, are we returning to Ava? Bart says, are you kidding? We have to take care of Faye first. That smart aleck kid said he'd introduce us to the ethos. So I guess we'll just have to go to the Ethos headquarters. Ellie says thanks. Bart says, why do I get thanked by you? Margie says, heh, that's right, Ellie. Ellie says, you're right. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's see. Looks like alrighty. Sigurd says Ethos is north of here, and that Margie says she wants to talk to us. Margie says, I'm glad we met up with such nice people. I'd better hurry and get back to the church. I'm not good enough to fight with Bart and his comrades, but I can be a manager. Let me know when you want to change party members. Alrighty. So I think this is a good place to stop. So I'm gonna save up, and we will see you next time.